What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 516th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Will.
I have you're switching things up on me again. I'm not prepared. I got nothing.
Yeah, this is a very nothing podcast. We have nothing to talk about this week.
I mean, we got plenty to talk about, but you can't, like, at the last minute expect me to have some witty repartee with 2 hours notice. I got to plan these things out ahead of time because it's 2022. You never know what word's going to come out of your mouth and offend 5 million people.
That's true. We're recording on Friday because GoFest is Saturday, Sunday, and we opted. You know, I said last week, I was like, they're probably. Hold on, Greg is here.
Am I? I mean, you can just skip over me, apparently. I don't matter anymore. It's fine. I'll just sit over here, quiet, unloved, unwanted.
He probably had something planned.
I did. Not anymore.
No, I had GoFest for this episode planned, and I was like,
That's
I literally said
tomorrow.
last.
I haven't even bought my ticket yet.
Yeah, me either.
I'm holding out for Niantic to come through with a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
I said on last week's episode, they probably won't announce any of Scarlet and Violet because they want to focus on GoFest, and they'll probably announce the Scarlet and Violet after GoFest.
And you
And
were
Janine
wrong.
and her calendar was
I
like,
know.
nope, everything this, which means we'll probably get nothing next week. It's going to be
Correct.
radio silent next week.
Look, Janine works 1 week a month, and she has to have everything done that 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Anything outside of that is your problem, not hers.
So I think what we'll do is probably do like a bonus podcast for patrons and Apple Plus Apple Podcast subscription. I don't know what they're called. Apple subscribers for GoFest. I'm sure I'll grab Bobby and something. I'll make Bobby talk for an hour. You guys can pay to hear Bobby.
Sure.
That way, Will and Greg can have somewhat of a weekend, and they don't have to put up with me for 8 hours each day, and then also record with me. I know they have
it's a bold assumption that we're going to put up with you for 8 hours each day as well.
I do believe my description of the day was I'm going to bike there, play Go, and then adios.
It's true. It's true.
There's a lot of assumptions that have just happened in a very short amount of time.
So I guess let's just get into it. We're going to pretty much spend the entire episode talking about the Scarlet and Violet trailer. It was 3 minutes long.
I guess I should watch that.
You haven't watched it?
No, he's watched it.
Oh
So
my gosh.
how this podcast works, if you're new here, hello. For every 1 minute a trailer is, we spend about 30 minutes talking about it. So we have to hit our 90-minute quota for the 3 minutes that was that trailer.
Okay, question number one. Okay, cool. No, I was making sure that the release date matched up with my planned week of vacation at Thanksgiving, and it does. So we
Okay,
can
got
start
it.
there at the top of the list, arriving November 18th, 2022.
That's correct. That is the Pokemon Company International and Nintendo shared that Scarlet and Violet will launch on November 18th. Digital pre-orders are available in the eShop today. They also revealed the cover art.
Yeah.
They revealed multiplayer. But let's skip those two things first, and let's go right into what they opened the trailer with, which was the new professors. Also, I'll probably insert the news music here. And we have Professor Sada and Professor Turo. I think I'm saying those right.
Yeah.
For the first time, one of two different professors will appear in the game depending on what version players choose. In Scarlet, players will meet Professor Sada. In Pokemon Violet, players will meet Professor Turo. Each professor is carrying out research into lore passed down into the region, which we do not know the region name yet either.
Risotto.
Yep. Pokemon Risotto. Do-do-do-do-do. Ba-do-do-do-do. So Sada derives from past. Turo comes from future.
Yeah, that was.
Yes.
Don't worry. I've had multiple people come in my Twitch chat and tell me that fun fact that was
Fun fact.
Which,
fact.
if anyone wants to go back and listen to when they did the original announcement, I'm pretty sure that's what Will Anderson said.
It is. I said that when So let's say you don't understand Spanish. Me, you don't understand.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Me
Papi.
gusta.
How you've been reading my instas?
Look,
Be
I've
gone,
watched at
sir.
least 5 episodes of Dora the Explorer. I think my Spanish is pretty good.
Let's explore, Steve.
Let's say you didn't look at their names. You could just look at their outfits. Professor Sada has I would say a Jurassic-ish prehistoric outfit on, and then Professor Turo has a very Tron futuristic outfit on.
Look,
Well-
I need this Tron outfit. So if there's costume makers out there that are I can make that Tron outfit, contact me.
One is like a torn loincloth, and one is an elegantly tailored speed suit.
It's torn loin shorts. I mean, they're definitely shorts.
Or a skirt.
Could be a skirt, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to go that far in the past, are we?
People still wear skirts today, Greg.
They shouldn't.
Especially Catholic school students.
The actual trivia here is I believe these are the first 2 professors that don't have trees.
Yeah, let's talk
Or-
about the tree tragedy. Let's talk about how bad the trees have gotten that they are no longer naming professors.
Are you
after
sure
them.
you can't find a single tree in this entire world called Sada or
I
Toro?
have looked.
Kudo?
I have looked for those as trees, and it came up as nothing.
What about
What
a
about
fine
the professor
hedge?
in-
I
What
haven't
about
found
the
not a
professor?
plant.
Isn't Turo like a lawnmower though?
That's
That's
Toro.
Oh.
They're based
Like
out of
the bull.
Minnesota. I can take you to the factory.
What about the professor in Pokemon Masters EX? What was her name?
Billingsworth?
I can't remember what her name is.
It will come to be.
There's also a professor in Unite, is there not? I'm trying to remember.
There is a professor in Unite. You never see this person.
Yeah, but we know that Unite is based on, what is the region called of Unite? I can't remember now.
All right, I looked it up. It's Professor Bellis.
Unite is
Bellis.
Eos.
B-E-L-L-I-S.
No, Eos is the... Oh, is it Eos? No, Eos is the gems.
AEOS region. Do you not watch the Unite anime?
Yeah, my mistake.
Bellis is a flowering plant, so it is still plant-based.
Okay.
Who is the professor for Eos? They exist.
I'm pretty sure he's black, isn't he? I remember, he kind of looks like the dude from Overwatch. He's,
The
very
head of
hip.
the institute is
Researcher
Professor-
Irby
Irby?
and Professor Forrest.
Professor Forrest is the
Oh,
head.
he's just straight up named Professor Forrest?
No, Forrest,
Forrest.
like phosphorus. PHORUS.
Oh, okay, got it.
Which is the whole sort of glowy.
That's not a tree? Trees aside, I think it's cool that they're doing 2 professors. I'm super into it. I don't know.
I
I would
mean,
sus.
There
I
are
would sus-
phosphorus trees, so
Oh, there are phosphorus trees?
yeah.
Okay, all right. I would imagine that. Okay, number one, I have so many thoughts. Number one, it still blows my mind that Legends was only 1 game and they didn't sell us 2 games. They could have literally just put
Move past.
5 Pokemon each.
No.
Number two-
They did Legends Arceus the way they did it right, and they were like, "We're in, we're out." It was a perfect scenario. They didn't need to sell us to.
If you looked at past games, right? Let's say you looked at Gold and Silver, Diamond and Pearl, X and Y, Sun and Moon. I'm skipping certain games for a reason. They barely did anything, and they sold us 2 identical versions of the same game. Did I say Red and Blue? And they've been doing this for years. And a little bit, in Sword and Shield, they're like, hey, we got 2 different gym leaders. Although I don't think a casual fan is going to be like, I really need to know what Alistair was doing over in that game. I don't think
Wait,
anyone
you
was
had
like,
2
hey.
different gym leaders in Unova, dude.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm going backwards.
Okay.
So, like, Unova also had 2 different gym leaders, but they also had 2 different just straight up cities. One game had White Forest, the other game had Black City. But again, I don't think that was ever enough to be like, oh, you need to buy the other game. And I think that's like a double-edged sword, right? I don't think Game Freak is thinking like, oh, this one town is enough to convince somebody to spend another $40 or $60. But it's a nice, like, differentiating feature. But at the same time, like, the person who does buy both, it doesn't feel like it's, like, justified. It's like this weird middle ground where it's, like, not enough for either person. And then for Ruby and Sapphire, instead of towns or gym leaders, it's the bad team. But again, not enough. Like, their dialogue is almost exactly the same. It's just one. They just replace the word Kyogre with Groudon, and you're fine.
And land with sea. Their motives were completely different. One wanted to expand the water. One wanted to expand the ground. That was not a cut and paste job. Swap out land and water. Nah, they had completely different goals. They were completely different people. One
True.
was a big buff
Completely
sailor.
true.
The other was a freak, slim, stylish land lover. Like night and day. How dare you come at Gen 3? How dare you?
So I do probably lean into like Sada and Toro are not enough to convince people like, oh, you need to experience both. I think like
No. I also think much like in Gen 3, you will see Sada as the rival school or whatever. Like, they'll be there. You just don't report to them.
Well,
oh,
what-
do you think this is like the 2 professors are in like the orange school or the grape
Yeah.
school and like they're being like these books are
Yeah.
banned, so we're teaching you these
Yeah.
books.
Yep. I mean, there's the weird Twitter exchange that happened today too. That's fueling my speculation.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Go on.
There was a person that posted the picture of the 2 professors and said, "Who are these 2 wrong answers only?" And the official Pokemon channel replied, "They're professors?"
Why is
What?
that weird?
Because it was supposed to be wrong answers only. So everybody's like, did they just say that they're... Is that like their subtle way of saying they're more than just professors in these
Or they're
games?
not professors.
They're
Well-
not professors.
Maybe it's the question mark that makes it the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's...
Well,
It's fueling
Kukui's not like
speculation.
a real professor either.
What do you mean? Kukui researches Pokemon attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kukui's like he wanted to be a trainer, and he
So did Oak.
only became a professor to then build the Elite Four, so then he could be the champion of it.
I wanted to work for the State Department
Yeah.
and be a diplomat around the world, and yet here I am sitting in Minneapolis recording a Pokemon podcast.
I wanted to be an actor, and I'm stuck on this program
Does
as
that
my
make
life.
me not a podcaster?
Well, how did this show become so negative? Jeez.
You!
Because of you. You're like, oh, these people aren't what they say. All I'm saying is...
You're the one that brought up they said they aren't what they are. I thought they were professors.
But that was the Pokemon company tweeting the wrong answers that they're Pokemon
Nah.
Was
professors.
it the English
They-
one or the UK one?
The English one.
They
Okay.
probably misunderstood the question.
Who tweeted? Who made the tweet? Was it like a big person?
it
like
was
Twitch?
from the Pokemon official.
No,
Who
no,
made
who
the
did
tweet
the
that they
original
replied
one?
to?
I don't remember.
Was it just like a small nobody, or was it like IGN or something?
No, it was a small nobody, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to look it up again.
I do disagree with Greg. My suspicion is that the games will be completely different, and one will be very past-oriented and one will be future-oriented.
Oh, it came from the person that posted it was Twitter Gaming that has 1 million followers.
Oh,
And then the
okay.
official Pokemon channel responded, they are Pokemon professors? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, I think it's just like no, they are professors, like very tongue in cheek.
I think that there's not an evil team, and the rival school is the team that you're going up against. And there's some sort of like
I disagree with
like-
this.
running
I feel
around
like-
and stuff.
No, actually, I don't disagree with this. I heard that the evil team, well, now that you said the school thing, that makes more sense because I didn't think about like how this is like a real world problem. Spoiler: Pokemon games are usually based around real world problems. People just don't see that. So like the actual real world problem in Sun and Moon was like parents verbally abusing their kids. Or just like younger folks in general. I mean, not only is that the theme with Lusamine and Gladion and Lily, but that was a theme with Guzma's parents.
Yep.
And that was also a theme with somebody. Oh gosh, who's the other? There was like a third person. That I can't think of it.
Family dynamics.
Yeah, Plumeria also as well. Like Plumeria left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so now that you said the school stuff, that makes it more believable, at least in my head, or more logical that like there's a real world problem of schools refusing to teach certain things. And like these books are not allowed, but these books are allowed. So if the Sada is like, these are the books we're teaching, and then but that is like very Diamond and Pearl of like, not Diamond and Pearl, but probably closer to Legends of like, we believe this, but no, we believe this kind of thing.
I mean, Legends Arceus was a treatise against religious extremism, so like, I don't know that they're going this far, but like, I can definitely see like two schools pitted against each other, because that is a common, like, if you've been watching a lot of recent anime, there's been a whole lot of number one school, number two school, and we have to show up number two school, become number one school. That has shown up in a lot of new anime recently. So it's in that culture. So that's why I think that there is a strong feeling that you'll go to the grape school and your rivals are the orange school, and what they're doing, like it's either like, we're going to get the research first, or we're going to prove that future tech is the right way, or the past is the lessons we have to learn from, or whatever. But I do have a strong rival schools feeling.
But that also, if you think about, so the opposite, what I saw on Twitter that I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's fine, is like, people were like, oh, the bad team is probably time travel or want time travel to happen, either to the future, to the past. But that would make it more complicated and just of two schools being pit against each other because they have different learning styles.
Yeah. Also, the past focus of one of the schools makes the Hisuian forms much more logical into this game. Since there is a person that is focused on the past and perhaps restoring past or discovering the past, it makes sense that either you can bring them in, or there will be options to catch the Hisuian forms in this game as well.
Well, also in the sense of like, the game can still be, when you start talking about past and future, you're like, oh, how different are these games going to be? But you can still say like, this person is just focused on teaching the past, and this person is just focused on teaching the future, which that goes very much like Black and White, where the theme in Black and White was, we want to teach the truth, or not teach, or preach. I think it's preach the truth. And then the other game was, we want to preach ideals.
Well, it's the conflict between truth and ideals.
Of truth and ideals.
Yeah. Which the games, I would say, didn't do a really good job of that.
Well,
the movie like did that, like the movie focused on that, but like the games did a really bad job of like truth and ideals.
I did want to throw in, let's just lower our expectations. We know the story is not going to be great. We know it.
We know it's going to be really good until there's an elevator scene with really bad music, and then you're like, I got to fight 18
the elevator was
Caparajas.
great. I would work at that company, be like, I could go battle kids on my lunch break. Hold on.
Okay, we can circle back to the past and present and stuff, but like, but I will reread what it says here. Each professor is carrying out research into lore passed down into the region. So I do think that your guys' suggestion of the two schools being pit against each other is logical and very grounded, although possible it doesn't happen. versus what I've seen on the internet, which is like time travel explosions.
I've just
Which,
figured
again, could happen.
I
could
figured
happen.
out what it is.
You have Celebi.
They discover in their school libraries the long forgotten book, Choose Your Own Adventure, The Cave of Time, which is the first Choose Your Own
yes.
Adventure book.
That's a great book, too.
And
They also have Pokemon Z hidden in there somewhere.
they go to find the Cave of Time. And one of them believes it'll take them to the past, and the other believes
One
it'll
believes
take them to the future.
I am
Got
into this. Also, here's a question on the table that we can have to circle around again. Who's the third professor?
Oh my gosh, stop. Professor Z.
Professor Gray.
Nimona? Is it? Did I say that okay?
I mean, they haven't said it, but it could be either Nimona,
okay.
Nimona. They haven't said. It depends on.
Is this a Spanish name? Should I? Is this okay? So the first, I'm gonna be really dumb. I'm super sorry. I have never heard the name Bianca until Black and White.
What?
Yeah. To be fair though, I was like what 20 years old and very sheltered.
Got that right.
Yeah.
But then I have now known probably 5 or 6 people named Bianca. So is this another situation? Like there are people out there named Nimona, I just never met them, or is this like names aren't made up?
Particularly common name.
You think
I mean,
Bianca is a common name?
Yes, it means
Yes.
white.
Yes, it does.
It's the same as Blanche or Blanche.
Blanche. I mean, it's Bianca and Blanche are derivatives of each other. So on my name database that I use for role-playing things, Nimona does not appear as an existing name in this list. The only thing I can
not on,
find is
Babynames.com.
behindthename.com. There is an Indian recipe for something called Nimona that I found, but it does not. It does not have a history that I am aware of.
I mean, even Raihan was on Babynames.com.
Correct.
Nimona has a sunny, energetic disposition and is passionate about Pokemon battles. She's an experienced Pokemon trainer and serves as a friend and a reliable guide for players on their adventure. On their journeys... Oh, sorry. This still works. On their journeys, players will encounter never-before-seen Pokemon... Whoa! Among them, there are 3 that Nimona uses on her team. And we'll get to those in a second. But the 3 Pokemon they show in the trailer are 3 of her Pokemon.
I
But we're
am
not ready
so
to talk about Pokemon yet.
confused by the fact that they have to point out in her description on the website. It does also seem that she's not the best at throwing Pokeballs.
Yeah. Which, that line reminded me of in Sun and Moon, where you could go to the guy that was in charge of the garbage disposal thing.
Yeah.
And he would teach you like 8 different ways how
Yeah.
to throw a Pokeball. I hope maybe I blew somebody's mind because maybe somebody didn't realize that was a thing. But in Sun and Moon, you could change how you threw a Pokeball, which was like, it was like novel. But there was probably one that you liked more than others. I
No.
forgot how you unlocked it though. You couldn't unlock them all right away. I think you had to battle them like once a day.
There were
Yeah.
achievements and things you had to do. What this makes me think of is it's going to be like Legends Arceus, and she's going to be like, I'm having trouble throwing a Pokeball at this Pokemon. Can you help me do it? Here's how you sneak up on a Pokemon and throw a Pokeball at it.
Yeah. That was what I was thinking too. Like they were hinting towards a similar play style as Legends Arceus. Similar, not the same, but similar. That's kind of what because it's weird that they would call that out. Like, okay, so what are you hinting at here? And I do think they're hinting that there'll be at least options to approach Pokemon the same way you did in Arceus.
Yeah, I think about when they like purposely called out when they were like, Leon gets lost really easily, and like, yeah, he gets lost like when you get to the train station for the first time, they're like, "Oh, I'm surprised he made it here." And then they like have like maybe 2 other instances of the game where they're like, "I'm surprised you made it here." But that was like the extent of it. That was like, it didn't really go anywhere. And I think it's maybe one of those things where you guys are right, where like she has trouble throwing Pokeballs at the beginning to like teach you how to throw Pokeballs,
Yeah.
and then it's done.
Well, I mean,
It's
those
like,
professors are busy running schools. They're not
Correct.
going to have time to be out here teaching you how to throw Pokeballs.
Oh, there is one really throwaway line in Isle of Armor where Mustard like makes fun of Leon for getting lost.
Yeah.
Which is like really great.
Mustard's
It kind of made the whole like, why did they even say he got lost all the time? Like it kind of like solidified that when Mustard like made fun of him. There's a weird thing on her arm. It's like a Tron glove, but her other arm doesn't have it. And
I mean,
you
it
can
looks
see-
like a sporting. It looks like a sports equipment.
Okay. Yeah,
type thing.
I saw somebody on Twitter say it was like like for like archery, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
keep a guard on your arm because you don't want when
Right.
the string on the bow snaps back, you don't want it to scrape your forearm open.
Okay. We don't think this is like a Z Crystal Megastone Gigantamax band like the like. We're used to wearing things on our arms now as a Pokemon trainer.
It definitely could be, because it's not flat, right? It's got a watch. My sense is that this is the new Rotom Dex, Rotom whatever. Like this is the new interface. Like it'll bring up one of those hover in the air screens type things. Like that arm thing is the Dex, the town map, the blah 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 blah.
Oh, so we're not thinking gimmick, we're thinking Pokedex.
Right. I have a feeling that's the Dex. Kind of based off of the colors a little bit, off the fact that it's the circle with the screen on it like a Fitbit.
Fitbit.
I mean, it looks like a Fitbit to me, honestly. But that's what I thought when I saw that. I mean, it could be something else. It could be the gimmick.
Yeah, it
But
almost
I
looks
have
like a robot arm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it
except
could
for
be
the
anything.
fingers. Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards this is how you access town maps, etc. It's like the updated Poketch.
Before we talk about Pokemon, because these are the 3 new characters they showed. They showed your character. They showed character customizations. You can be black, tan, white,
The
cool
hair.
hair, not cool hair,
The
girl,
hair
boy.
was so amazing.
The hair stuff was really good.
happy. I will never pick it because it's not my hair, but I was so happy that like other types of hair than just flat and spiky anime are in this game. It's like finally.
Yeah, the hair was really great. I do want to point out, because I saw a bunch of people also had similar reactions to me, that the professors and the rival are like, whether you like it or not, are a dramatically new look for Pokemon characters.
In what
Like,
way?
they kind of don't look like they fit in the Pokemon universe.
Well,
Like, and every Pokemon game has like styles, right? Like the Let's Go style, the Sun and Moon style,
you
the
mean
Black
the
and White style.
drawing, like the art of them, or the actual
The
in-game?
3D models, not the art. The art
Oh, I
looks
see, I
like
see.
Pokemon stuff, but in the game they look
Oh.
very. I don't even think they look Final Fantasy. I don't think they match the Final Fantasy vibe. I don't.
I just think that they're like, hey, this is the next set of graphics that we're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they fit stylistically with all the other characters we've seen. I think they look more. I will say they look more
Adult?
adult than cartoony. Like the professors across the board have always had sort of either an older, fatherly, motherly feel, or teeny, my age, early 20s hip sort of feel, like Kukui. Like these feel like these people, they are solidly in their 30s. They're working towards tenure. They have their own lives, and they need you to go do some stuff for them. They just feel like middle-aged adults.
That also received their glow up recently this year. I
happens
think,
in your 30s.
But if you look at your character, I think maybe why it's jarring for me and maybe some other people is because they just showed these characters, right? We've known what our character has looked like for a couple months now. And you look at our character, and it does look like the stereotypical, like, 10-year-old on a journey, even though I would say recent Pokemon games stopped saying 10 years old. They just say, like,
Yeah, they said
new trainer. They stopped using age, at least. And I know they probably look younger because of their outfits they're wearing. They're, like, very school Catholic outfits they're wearing. But when you see the professors and you see, like, the rival looks significantly older than you. Mm-hmm. And they say, like, she absolutely loves Pokeball battles. She's an experienced trainer. But she's starting her journey with you. She kind of looks like she's 5 years older than your character.
Wait,
but again, maybe
where
it's
does
the
it say
outfit.
she's starting her journey with you?
It says on the website she's an experienced Pokemon trainer, a reliable guide for your adventure. Okay, maybe she's not starting.
Yeah,
no.
I have a feeling like she is a fellow, like she's graduating out of the schools, like she's a senior.
I mean, or like she's in 8th grade or 9th grade, and you're in 6th grade.
And she's using Smoliv?
What's wrong with Smoliv, dude?
She has choices that she makes at the beginning.
I've met fishermen that use 6 Magikarp.
Yeah. 6.
And you're going to complain that this young lady is using 3 at least different Pokemon?
Yeah,
One
maybe.
of them being the greatest Pokemon ever revealed in all Pokemon history?
I am not. We can't get to the Pokemon yet. We got to take a break. I think the trainer models look fantastic. I think Neoma looks great. I think the professors look great.
Yeah.
I think all the character customization that they showed for the characters, absolutely great. I just the minor. It's not even a complaint.
It. I know you're going to say it. Say it.
It just looks like your player character looks so much younger than the 3 people they showed. I mean, obviously the professors should be older, but like
I agree that the player characters look younger. I don't know if part of the customization will be more age related, so you can make yourself look older. Because like showing these specific people in these areas show that they have the capability of doing it. Because there's also in the trailer the really young kid out in the field that you meet, whose shirt I want more than anything in the world. But I'm wondering if part of the customization will also be choosing sort of where you fall a little bit in the age range.
yeah, like can we just get like a small height slider, a small weight slider? It doesn't have to be super complex. Like, look, it took us this long to get different skin colors. It took us even longer to get like different hairstyles. Like, as we are advancing in character customization, I should say, as the Pokemon Company is advancing, because they're very behind on a lot of things. Those would be like 2 nice sliders of like, can I be a little taller? Can I be a little shorter? Can I be a little wider or thinner? Or
I don't think you're going to get it. I think if that was the case on the multiplayer gameplay screen, they would have shown those variations.
yeah,
Like they
maybe
did the variations in the clothes.
You know that they're very select with their first trailer. Like the Sword and Shield trailer specifically didn't show Pokemon walking around in the wild. And I was upset about that. And then, 2 months later, they're like, look, Pokemon walking around in the wild.
Well, that's not what I was expecting you to complain about. I didn't think that was going to be your accept.
No, it's not really a complaint. It's just like your character looks very, very young. But
I just thought you were going to express your anti-Arborite perceptions and prejudices once again. I heard it. I heard it on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook stories.
Oh, we're talking about the bush?
I mean, I don't think bush counts as a tree, but yes.
We can talk about the graphics, but overall,
No, we're not going to talk about the graphics. I am not having this conversation again.
I was just going to say, I think the
I
graphics
am not
look fine.
having this conversation again. Take it to your stream. Take it to your TikTok. I am done. It is the first trailer.
I super disagree. Like, a video game's graphics are one of the biggest part. That's why people buy games, and it's why people don't.
You fell for the bait. Jebaited. That's what the kids say. Jebaited.
I think it's a disservice to the thousands of people that listen to the show every week to not talk about graphics of a video game coming out. Especially when we've talked about how these trainers looked, and especially because I think Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee looks absolutely fantastic, and I think Legends does not look fantastic.
Are we ready for a break?
Yep.
We are. We will be right back. And we are back. All right, Pokemon time.
Yeah, I like Pokemon.
I enjoy Pokemon.
5 new Pokemon. We'll start with the Nemona's Pokemon. She sends out a Pawmi, which says here, in addition to the electric sacs on its cheeks, Pawmi has electric discharge organs on its forepaws. It generates electricity by rubbing its cheeks, and then it shocks its opponents by touching them with the pads on its forepaws. The fur that covers its body is good insulation against the cold and serves the purpose of storing electricity. When it feels uneasy, this cautious Pokemon will begin rubbing its cheeks, preparing itself to discharge. It's the Mouse Pokemon, electric only type, with the ability Static or Natural Cure.
We like that Natural Cure. It's the new Pikachu.
Yeah, let me do the next 2 here, and then we'll talk about them as a whole. We have Lechonk.
Yeah!
Lechonk uses its sense of smell to find out and eat only the most fragrant wild grasses and richest berries. As a result of its dining habits, it has come to radiate an aroma resembling herbs of bug-type Pokemon dislike. If attacked by an opponent or startled, it will charge forward in a panic. It may appear fat at first, but in reality, this Pokemon's body is mostly muscle, built by consistent walking around in search of food. This is the Hog Pokemon. It's a normal type, and it has the ability Aroma Veil and Gluttony. And then finally, we have Smoliv. Smoliv is the olive Pokemon. The olive that comes out of his head has a very strong, bitter taste. It's not suitable for consumption. When startled or attacked, Smoliv will shoot oil out, slowing its opponents down. It will then seize that moment to run away. That's kind of like Gossifleur, like slowed opponents down.
Yeah.
In the fruit on its head, Smoliv stores olives. The olive made from its nutrients, it gathers through photosynthesis. As a result, it can go on for a week without eating or drinking. It prefers dry and sunny climates, and it seems to spend its day bathing in the sun. It is a grass normal type Pokemon, and it only has one ability, which is Early Bird.
What does Early Bird do?
Isn't Early Bird what's like Pidgey has?
It wakes you...
Wakes you up faster.
It wakes you up faster from sleep. I don't know if it's a guarantee.
According to Bulbapedia, Early Bird quick awakening from sleep. In the turn the Pokemon is put to sleep, the number of turns it will remain asleep if present. If 6 turns, it will be half to 3. If 3, it will be half to 1. If 1, it will round down to 0, instantly waking up. I lied. Pidgey doesn't have it, but Doduo and Dodrio have it.
Houndour does.
Boy. What Pokemon do you guys want to start with?
Lechonk! The only one that matters.
Lechonk won the internet, man.
Lechonk. Lechonk is the greatest thing that's ever happened to Pokemon Gen 9.
Okay, so let's slow down. This is what everyone said about Wooloo. Because it's a round sheep that could roll. I love Lechonk. Lechonk is great.
I never said that about Wooloo. Wooloo is meh. This thing is
I
outstanding.
have zero excitement for Wooloo.
I have all the excitement for Lechonk.
Have you seen Lechonk fall over sideways?
Yes.
I've seen Lechonk fall over sideways. It's perfect.
Lechonk's really great. I sent a picture of Lechonk to Irene, and she said meh, and I said we can't be together.
You've got to see it in motion.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah,
see
that's
it
true.
walking around.
When it comes out from.
It's like I have found a truffle. My job
Present
here is
the
complete.
truffle.
Yes.
These are some good names, though.
Oh, they're great names.
I'm not so sure about Poor Me. It's kind of meh.
I am not a fan of Smoliv in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
What?
I eat 10 olives
Like
a
the
day,
name
and I can
or the
tell you
design?
you're wrong.
The name is fine. The design I'm not into.
Olives
at
are
all.
delicious and
I hate
wonderful.
olives.
See?
Is it
This-
because you hate olives, or because people compared it to Badoo?
It mainly because I did not like. I'm not a huge fan of the design. More than anything, I just feel like it's. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. It's the same sort of negative reaction I had against Sobble at first. Like, it's
You
just
don't like Crybaby Pokemon, do you?
not really. No.
Interesting.
Grow up and get out there and fight. I don't want
I
any
like-
of these feelings. No, it doesn't really. I don't know. I think for me the design was just too simple. Like, oh, it's a ball with an olive on its head.
It's a small olive Pokemon.
Yes.
I think Game Freak has realized that Pokemon, like, people like when they can put Pokemon together. And what I mean by that is like Snom and Pincurchin and Pyukumuku. And it felt like part of Smoliv's design was like, we can put this with like Badoo and Petalil. And people will be like, oh, look at this group.
And who is it?
Because if it's
Goth
not,
Colonel.
I feel like they still baited all the artists to do that anyways.
Who's Gothcorn? Dag nabbit. Before Sunflora. Sunkern.
Sunkern?
Sunkern.
Yeah. Sunkern fits in that.
And they've been doing that for years with like the Pikachu clones.
Yeah.
Which I guess we should talk about Pawmi.
Probably is a Pikachu. It probably is this generation's Pikachu clone.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess it is the mouse Pokemon. It is electric. It has like very two common abilities. Like, so I'm looking at Pawmi and I'm like, what's special here? What is the gimmick?
It's evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could evolve. Because
Paw
right now
you.
Pikachu does.
right? Because okay, so let's back up. Beep 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 beep. If you look at Morpeko had not only had a form change, but it had like an exclusive ability. Well, I guess the ability is the form change, the hangry mode. And then it could have, a move like its move pool, not move pool, but one of its moves changed in and out of hangry mode. Very good gimmick. Was used by the rival, Marnie. And then before that, in Gen 7, we had Dedenne. Mm-hmm. And Dedenne got the fairy. We had two, though, right? No, sorry. Dedenne is Gen 6. My apologies. We had Togedemaru.
Yes.
And Togedemaru at least had like that. It wasn't like. I think it was exclusive to Chestnut, but then they gave it to Togedemaru, the spiky shield move. If I'm remembering correctly. But Togedemaru still not like it still felt like there was a gimmick to it for being like steel electric. It had sturdy and iron barbs and lightning rod. Oh, it did have a signature move. It was Zing Zap. So I suppose we don't know what Pawmi's signature move is. Dedenne kind of gets like a free pass because like they needed to like introduce fairy types. Gen 6 is when fairy types were introduced. It had Cheek Pouch. It had Pickup. I want to say it had its own exclusive move, but I can't think of what it is. Obviously, Mimikyu is there, where like Mimikyu is not really a Pikachu clone. It's just a Pokemon that wants to be a Pikachu. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Pawmi and I'm like, This is the Pikachu clone, but what makes it special?
Does everybody have to be special?
Yeah, that's what my parents told me in the 90s when I was growing up.
That's why
They
you
lied.
ended up the way you did. I mean, it's going to be the evolution, Paw You. That's what's going to...
Yeah.
Paw you. It's going to evolve. People are like, it's going to evolve into Gorochu finally.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, I don't think Dedenne has a signature move. Not that I'm seeing here.
It's going to be Fighting Electric, Paw You.
And I don't know if it's just because Smoliv and Lechonk just overpowered Palmy, or it's just that Palmy came across very generic.
Yes.
I think Palmy comes across very generic. Like, even the pictures that they use from the screenshots, I'm like, okay. It's just okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just there's nothing yet to be like, oh, I've got to have this Pokemon.
Like, Lechonk is like, the design of Lechonk is good, but the name is amazing. And Smoliv, the name is pretty good, and the design is for a lot of people really good. It's not for me, but like those two things really have strong, something very strong about them. And I think everything about Palmy is okay. It's the expected Pikachu clone. The name is Paws on Me. Like it doesn't know how to stay down. Is it like a out of control
Well,
dog?
it's because it's got the electric sacs in its paws.
Right.
And its forepaws. So
I do think it's a good design, though. And I think maybe if it wasn't shown with Lechonk and Smoliv, it might have gotten like more love.
Overshadowed.
Yeah, I think the other two just overshadowed it.
That's kind
And
of like a
rightly
red
so.
panda.
They are better.
Yeah, I think it's cute. The more I look at it, the more I do like it. Like, I like the little green inside its ears. I like how like chubby he is.
The thing is I only like the artist drawing of it. I don't like it in either of the two screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
Those
artist drawing,
screenshots
which I really
are
like.
great.
Yeah, I like the artist rendition of it, but when I look in the screenshots, I'm like, oh, that's
He doesn't look
not...
as thick in the game as he does in the artist drawing.
right. And like Lechonk looks almost the same as the artist, and same with Smoliv. Like, I think one of the weird feelings I have about Palmy is when I look at it in game and the ones that they chose, I'm like, it just doesn't look very good to me. I feel like the hair tuft just is really weirdly divided in the screenshots. It doesn't look as fluffy or as, and it doesn't look the same in the screenshots. And I think that's where my issue comes from with Palmy.
There has to be a signature move or like an evolution or something here, because the ability and the category and the typing isn't standing out at all.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like all of these are going to get evolutions. So like this is her starting team, so I feel like they're also sort of hinting that they're all going to get evolutions, right? Like, I don't think Smoliv is going to stay a small olive the entire time.
Well,
I don't
especially
think
because
Lechonk...
green olives are unripe olives. It's the black olives that are the ripe olives. So
Right.
it has to become a black olive.
Oh, you don't think like its shiny is just going to be black to signify that?
But that's not what that means.
I don't know anything about olives. I know there's black
I
olives
just
and green
told
olives,
you
right?
everything you need to
Yeah,
know.
everything
A
you need to
green
know about
olive
olives
is
is
not
right there.
ripe olive. A black olive is
But
a ripe
people-
olive.
But people eat green olives, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the green turns into the black?
Yes.
Yes.
They're not two different. It's not like
No,
green grapes and
it's-
purple grapes?
It's
No.
one olive. It's like
Red grapes and
one
green
olive?
It's like a grape to a raisin. They're all
Okay, I
the
understand
same
that.
thing, right? It's just the raisin's the old grape. The grape is the young grape.
Yes.
Green olive is the young olive. The black one's
Black
the old
olive is the
olive.
old
Oh,
olive.
I thought they were totally I thought it was like grapes. Like, oh, there's just two
No.
different types
Now,
of grapes.
what
No.
will be interesting is if its evolution is like Kalamata,
Ooh.
because that is technically a very Greek kind of
Yeah, it
only
is.
comes from one location in Greece. So,
I mean, I would guess that the shiny form would be more of, because sometimes you get more reddish green olives. So they could do that for the shiny, but yeah, like the black olive is the older.
Got it.
I just don't want Lechonk to become a fighting type.
nah.
Fighting normal? Do we
It's
have
gonna be
that
it's
yet?
gonna be grass.
No, really. Do we have fighting normal?
Yes. The
We do.
stuffed bear grows into
Oh,
the
yeah.
big
Beware.
bear.
Beware. I'm like,
Beware.
I know we do.
The new legendary Pokemon appearing in the titles, Koraidon and Miraidon are, I hope I said those okay, but we'll figure it out later, are on each cover of the retail version of the game. The title logos are embellished with a foil stamp-like design that use the legendaries as motifs. The package of these games have a similar look to cover of old books, invoking a new, invoking the feeling that a new story lies ahead. So we are jumping around a little bit here, but because we haven't talked about like the open worldness and the multiplayer stuff, so we're still in Pokemon mode. Apologize. We'll get to it, but this was shown at the end of the trailer. So these are our 5 Pokemon: Lechonk, Pawmi, Smoliv. Now the 2 legendaries, Miraidon and Koraidon, and I will say these are some of the best legends. Yeah. I love Zacian, love Zamazenta, love Enamorus, love Reshiram, Zekrom, you name them. Love, like, those are great. But these are really great.
I honestly was not going to buy both games. And when they showed both legendaries, I'm like, I want both of them in equal parts. I love both of them. I think they look fantastic. And I'm like, I'm just going to get 2 because I want to make sure that I have both because I really like their design.
Will's going to be like, I hate both of them.
I mean, the thing is, I don't care about Koraidon. I think Koraidon looks like could have been in any game. Who cares? Whatever. And I was really having high hopes for Miraidon, but why couldn't it have just been a snake? Why couldn't it have been similar to Rayquaza? Why does it have to have weird arms and legs that
because it turns into a motorcycle?
That
because
somehow,
they're motorcycles.
They are transformers.
Motorcycles.
They are transformers, sure, but it's just like it could they have animated it a little better? Like if it's floating, make it look like it's floating, not like it's kind of balancing on its tail there. That was a big disappointment for me.
I thought it was floating because of its jet engine legs.
But yeah, but if you look at the way you see the jet engine legs, and then you see it's like on a pedestal, like standing on its tail. I was like, just have the tail up in the air, have it float.
Oh,
if
I
you're gonna have
see
it float,
what
have
you're
it
saying.
float. I wanted it to be like I wanted it to be a
Iron Tail
Quetzalcoatl.
confirmed in its moveset.
I wanted it to be like Quetzalcoatl, and
I
kind of fallen short.
To me, it's crazy that they were like, here are the legends, here are their names, here are the cover of the games. No region. We ain't gonna tell you that.
No,
It's
they
the
haven't named
risotto
it yet.
region,
They haven't named it. They
or
haven't.
it's the
figured out the name.
paella region because it's got olives in it. Yeah,
Paella.
So I think both of these Pokemon are fantastic. I think it's very obvious that Koraidon has a tire coming out of his chest. I mean,
a wheel, not a tire.
Miraidon has you could say it's like kind of like a wheel / tire. You can kind of see the treads in the like galaxy space thing that's happening here. But yeah, I think when you say that these Pokemon are probably going to transform in some way into a vehicle of some sort, most people are saying
More
motorcycles.
than meets the eye.
I don't know if it's a motorcycle, a scooter, a car, a plane, a jet engine,
A unicycle.
So there's a couple things here. Like in RPGs, weird vehicles are not unheard of. Final Fantasy is very famous for this, especially 15, where your car turns into a jet plane at one point.
You don't want to know what you can ride on in Final Fantasy 14 right now because it's basically everything.
So other games, Also, I can't help but think of Yu-Gi-Oh! At one point, Yu-Gi-Oh! We have not gone a single week in the last, 2 months without talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!
You keep bringing it up.
In Yu-Gi-Oh! 4D, they literally play Yu-Gi-Oh! On motorcycles.
True.
The PlayStation presentation yesterday showed a game with anime people riding on motorcycles. Motorcycles and anime and video games are...
They have gone together since Akira. So.
I was just going to say, blame it on Akira.
Blame
we
it
have
on
this
Akira.
full
Akira
circle.
did it.
And we also know that Game Freak is always behind the times. With Z Crystals, it was like Final Fantasy was doing this for 20-some years. He's just finally caught up.
Yeah, well, this is the new bike. They're the new bikes. You catch them early on, and this is how you get to places. It's the second thing you do is you go catch them, and then you can access the sea.
So, yeah, I think there's no way that these Pokemon don't transform into some sort of vehicle. The transforming thing, we've had that happen with Lunala and Solgaleo and the Reshiram and Kyurem. They merge/transform. That stuff already exists.
All of the weather things, whatever they are.
The Kami.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, and I don't want to talk too much about the Pokemon centers until after the break because that's part of the open world. But if we look at the Pokemon centers, they literally look like gas stations. They have little parking lots, and they're out in the open world. And
they look like drive-up diners to me.
Yes. I think they look like gas stations, but I can see the drive-up diner vibe as well. And then the last thing is when you look at the gym leader stuff, you see what looks to be 2 racing flags.
The reason why I said they look like a diner to me because there's literally a table and seat out in front of all of them.
Gas stations have picnic tables and seats as well. At least the ones in Milwaukee did.
Nah. No.
Are you talking about a bar to sit at? Or are you talking about a picnic table?
No, this has an actual couchy seat and table in the picture of the Pokemon Center, an actual diner.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they look like it's like a table and an actual couch.
Yeah. But the tables look like the tables you get at a wedding, where it looks like the.
Well, they look like diner tables. They look like tables at 50s diners, drive-up diners.
But if you look, it does look like a parking lot though. You can kind of see lines almost in the parking lines in the.
Well,
in
yeah,
the ground.
like drive-up diners of the 50s.
Okay, so obviously the theories seem like these 2 legendaries are going to transform into vehicles. That brings me back to Lechonk, because hogs are a form of motorcycle.
Oh, Milwaukee.
So if he evolves into Lahog, and he is a rideable Pokemon. And I want to talk about rideable Pokemon because we've had rideable Pokemon before, right? In Sun and Moon, we rode on Tauros or Lapras or Sharpedo. In Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, we rode on Arcanine and Persian and Snorlax and Onix. In Legends, we rode on Braviary, Weirdeer, Basculegion. So none of this is unheard of. But in past games, legendaries are near the end of the game. So there needs to be other forms of transportation early.
For non-Americans, the reason hogs refer to a very specific motorcycle, which are Harley Davidsons. The reason why they're called hogs is because the groups that owned them were the Harley Owners Groups, HOG. It was a big club. It still is for Harley Davidson enthusiasts. So hogs aren't a motorcycle brand. It is specifically Harley Davidson motorcycles and the people who ride them. You can look up. Harley Davidson has a very specific style. That is usually what's referred to as a hog.
They have been trying to get a younger audience recently, but Harley is a very specific.
It's got a very specific American image. Everybody of a certain age, well, when you say hog or hog rider, they all have one image in their head, pretty much.
Yeah, they're. I think they started off as like an electric or a bike company, right? Like a bicycle, and then they moved into
Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
Um,
because then they recently announced an electric bike, and then people were like, "Oh, this looks like the original bike you kind of started off with."
I don't know.
I
Maybe.
don't, you're the one
Harley
from
Davidson's
Milwaukee,
been around
dude.
Yeah. They started in Milwaukee. There's like actually, if you don't care about like motorcycles or whatever at all, the Harley Davidson Museum is actually still like a really cool place to like visit and go. And it's more than just like their motorcycles. It's like a lot of Milwaukee history. It's like actually a fantastic museum. I don't remember how much it costs, but it's down there in the. I guess that is worth saying. If you're going to Milwaukee for regionals, I will also be in Milwaukee to play Sword and Shield, which is in like 2 weeks. So if you need things to do and you care about motorcycles, definitely go to the Harley Davidson Museum. If you just need something to do and you just want to know Milwaukee history, I still think the Harley Davidson Museum is still pretty good.
According to this, they've always been a motorcycle company. They started in 1903. Their first prototype was basically a big engine on a bike.
Okay.
It was 1903, so let's sort of be like they've been around for a very long time, but they've always produced motorcycles. So I think what people are referring to now is they've gone back to that. It looks like the very first prototype they made with this new electric bike.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt electric bikes are going to get more and more popular. Especially like right now, I think the thing that's holding people back is just price on electric bikes.
Yes.
But as those prices come down and everything, that's what Harley is at least trying to do, is trying to like make a staple in the electric bike market because they're betting that is their only way to get younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a really good, like business wise, it makes sense. Like that would be a good decision to make of like, yeah, you're right. You do need a younger audience and this is the way to get them. So I think their electric bike looks kind of cool. But anyways.
Yeah, I just pulled up the picture and it does look like their first prototype.
Oh,
like
okay,
it's a modernized version of their first prototype, but yes. I could see Lechonk turning into
something rideable. It doesn't have to be
I
like
don't know that it's right. Like there is a very specific hog rider image that is associated with Harley Davidson.
Greg. All the years of playing Clash Royale.
We are finally back to hog rider. I could see it becoming a more humanoid on two legs, hog rider-esque. I don't know that it will be rideable.
I think Lechonk is the early game. We're riding this around this map.
I think like it's more likely that we'll have rideable Taurus than an early rideable version of Lechonk. Of course, we have to talk about what early means in the context of this game.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else about Smoliv. It definitely like caters to people who like these smaller crybaby, very scaredy cat Pokemon. I think Smoliv's great. I think the name is great. Lechonk name is great. Pokemon is great. Although Lechonk very much does seem like the Wooloo, where everyone's obsessed with it, but then very quickly realize there's 60 other Pokemon that are more exciting. Like not in like theme, but like normal Pokemon don't really last too long on a team. They don't do anything for super effective.
Oh, this could change. Lechonk could be the one that changes it all.
Pawmi like feels like they're purposely hiding something there. Last thing I want to talk about before we take a break, legendary typing. I did say this on Twitter. I'm not going to place any bets on what these we on this show were all wrong. We all thought there was no way that Solgaleo could not be fire type. Its name is Sol. It's supposed to represent the sun. It ended up being Psychic Steel. Mm-hmm. Not anywhere near that.
I mean, I'll go at fighting and electric. That's what I'm going to go with. I'll make a decision. Koraidon's fighting, Miraidon's electric. At least part. Done. I made my choice.
I don't get fighting vibes from the first one. I get more like
okay.
If I'm going to be wrong, I might as well be wrong boldly.
You can get your vibes however you want them.
I get more like ground vibes from him.
With all the feathers?
Yeah.
How do feathers make it ground?
I don't think it's the feathers. I think it's like the body structure and then like the tire being very like grounded. He looks very grounded to me.
It's more like a dinosaur, and you know how like we actually have discovered that dinosaurs had feathers? It's going to be along those lines.
It's rock type. Rock fighting.
Well, I guess the default is like they both look like dragons, right? So if we look at other dragons, Reshiram and Zekrom, fire dragon, electric dragon, there's no way they're going to recycle that again.
Oh, really? No, there's no way. No, it cannot happen. The laws of the universe prevent it from
another
happening.
Psychic mythical Pokemon.
I have some firefighting things that would like to have a conversation about recycling with you.
It's possible that Miraidon is like steel electric. It doesn't necessarily have to be dragon, just like Solgaleo didn't have to be fire, even though its name comes from the sun.
I'm trying to remember who told me that Korai is like ancient or past and Mirai is future.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember who said that to me. It's probably Pokejungle.
Translate.google.com will tell you that.
I mean, the thing is, do we have a dragon steel?
Duraludon? Duraludon, whatever that is.
Oh yeah, Duraludon. Yeah, but Duraludon is still bad. Do we have an electric steel? I think we do.
Togedemaru.
Yeah, you already said
Yes.
it. Togedemaru.
Do we have ground dragon?
Flygon?
Yeah, we do.
Wait.
We sure do.
Also,
we have fighting dragon. That's Komao.
Who's the jetpack dragon? Dagnabbit. Cynthia.
Garchomp?
Garchomp.
Garchomp.
That's ground dragon.
Do we have a fire dragon? Oh yeah, Reshiram.
Yeah.
Reshiram.
Yes. It's called Charizard.
And Charizard. That's true. Mega Charizard. Do we have a rock dragon?
Interesting. Because it's not names.
I'm saying no. I am saying
I
we
don't
do
think
not have
so.
a rock dragon.
I would think the closest we were going to come is with the fossils.
Oh, we do. Sorry. Tyrantrum.
Oh,
there is
right.
one.
We do.
Tyrantrum.
Mm.
Okay.
I knew it was one of the
completely
fossils.
forgot about that.
I couldn't remember which one.
So yes, we have two, Tyrant and Tyrantrum, rock dragon.
Do we have a water dragon?
Palkia. Zygarde is also ground dragon.
Oh, yeah. Well, it never got a Pokemon Z, so how do we know that?
That's true. Flying dragon would be Rayquaza. Fairy dragon, Mega Altaria. None of these Pokemon look fairy to me. Latios, Psychic Dragon. Ice Dragon would be Kyurem. Grass Dragon would be Executor, Mega Sceptile. Ghost Dragon, Giratina. Dark Dragon, Hydreigon. Poison Dragon, Dragalge. Steel Dragon, Hisuian Gudra. Turtonator, Fire Dragon. Noivern, Flying Dragon. Drampa, Normal Dragon.
It's just a dragon at that point.
Appleton, Flapple, Grass Dragon. Dracozolt, Electric Dragon. Dracovish, Water Dragon. Duraludon is the only Steel Dragon. Eternatus, Poison Dragon. Yeah, they do look like dragons, but so does Charizard, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying right now, one is going to be part fighting, one is going to be part electric. That is
I
where
feel
I'm
like
staking my
Electric
claim.
is a safe bet for Miraidon, but also we said this about Solgaleo.
I am still making my prediction!
I don't know. This is real hard to tell. It's real hard to tell.
I got nothing. I got nothing to throw in here.
I think there was like a 4chan thread. People were very convinced that it was like fighting dragon,
Look at your
electric
source.
dragon. But I don't know. I don't see the fighting. Sure, I guess anything could be
they
fighting.
don't
I just
have
don't see
to be
it.
dragon. Neither Kyogre nor Groudon is dragon.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have to be dragon.
That's true. They can be fighting electric.
Whoa, double electric type?
Double electric type.
All right. Let's take a quick break. Last part of the show, we're going to talk about the overworld, pretty much every other details, the gyms, the gas stations, whatever you want to call them, the co-op. So
They are diners.
Right back. And we are back. All right. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the first open world RPGs in the Pokemon series. I'm going to reread that. I'm going to read that again. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet are the first open world RPGs in the Pokemon series. Now, somebody's going to quickly run to YouTube comments. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to comment this, you're more than welcome to. You're going to say, what about Legends Arceus? The Pokemon Company never said that was an open world game.
No, and it's not.
And it's after playing it, it is not.
It is not.
I know you probably were watching your favorite content creators scream, finally, open world Pokemon when they first showed that game. Here's the thing about open world games. I said it on the podcast again. I said it on the podcast before. I will say it again. If your video game is open world, you will make sure to tell the world it is open world because that is a selling point of your game. And they knew that it wasn't open world, and they knew that they couldn't say that without getting backlash. So they didn't advertise Legends Arceus as open world because it's quite frankly, it's not.
It's not.
These games are. And I don't know what that looks like, but they say here along with the series staples such as trading and battling Pokemon, players will be able to explore various locations in the region in these games with up to 4 players. And there's a little cliff note here saying, additional systems and accessories may be required for multiplayer mode, game system, and some accessories are sold separately. Obviously, you'll probably need the Nintendo Online subscription.
What made me laugh in the trailer is they say this, and they show all the people getting together, and then the next shot is all of them leaving, and I'm like, I think we missed a part of them actually doing things together, because they all ran, and then they're like, hi, and then they all left.
Well, so for me, I took that to mean like you're in the same session, but you can go to different areas while still staying in the same session. You're not restricted to one small region of the map.
I thought it was just funny that they're like,
I thought it was funny too. I had the same
left.
thought Greg did, and I laughed.
I mean, they did show trading.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the age-old question of what do you do in a multiplayer Pokemon game? And there's been like fan-made multiplayer Pokemon games, and I don't want to name any specifically, but I've seen some where there's just 5 trainers walking back and forth in the grass trying to find a shiny, and it's like, I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, you're not interacting, you're just going back and forth, checking if it's shiny, it's not really like interacting. And then we've seen other games such as Temtem have this MMO / online multiplayer feel. But again, it kind of comes back to the 2 things they mentioned, trading and battling. Now, in Sword and Shield, you could do Curry, and in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, you could do the Underground, but even that was
Underground was
limited.
real limited.
It was cool to help somebody dig, and it was like very like the first time somebody's like pounding on your wall, and you're like, what is happening? And it's very novel, and seeing somebody's secret bases should have been cooler than it was. And it's like, oh, cool, you have a bunch of statues. Guess what's in mine? A bunch of statues. You could emote in the Underground. That was kind of cool, but it was very limited. And in Sword and Shield, you could find people on your friends list. You could go in and out of a session, connect and disconnect until you eventually end up with where your friend is. And you could see them on their bike, and you could see them walk around, and then you could join their tent in Curry. So it's not like there's this big jump. They've kind of been working at this online thing for quite a while. As much as I would love an open world co-op, play the game with 4 people, I just don't know what that looks like. Are we walking? Are Greg and I walking into a gym together, and then all of a sudden our sessions end? He does his gym battle, I do my gym battle, and then we come back out, and then we're in the open world to do what? Trade battle?
Why do you have no imagination, especially after you
I
just
don't.
played
I don't have
Legends
any
Arceus?
imagination.
Okay, here, I'll give you 5 things that you can do, open world, 4-player, just
All right, we're gonna
stemming
make
from
this a
Legends
separate
Arceus.
YouTube video. Here we go. 5 things.
You
You'll
have
never
5.
believe number 4.
You have 5 minutes. Who can catch the largest, tallest Pokemon? Because if we're going to Legends Arceus, the Pokemon will have different heights, and you can just go. Who can catch a specific Pokemon that might be harder to find out in the wild, or you'd have to know where to look for it? Who can catch the most Pokemon in 5 minutes? Who can catch, I don't know, the fastest Pokemon? Who can catch the well, I already said the largest, smallest Pokemon. There we go.
Right,
Largest and
pulled out
smallest.
5.
And I also thought racing.
Yes,
Who can get from
if-
here to here
yes,
on the territory?
Hopefully
Yes.
racing. Like
Balloon
racing would be a
popping.
great thing to do.
Right, because they had the balloon popping, correct? Right? Or who can hit a target with a
Do
Pokeball
we
or
think
something?
den-like areas will be back?
That was my other question. Is like the
And-
great multiplayer experience in Sword and Shield was raid battles and Dynamax Adventure. Both are similar, but both are different enough where you might feel in the mood for one over the other. They were a great way to do with 3 other people. I'm not saying that this needs to come back, but some form of 4 people working together to take down something hard. And if me and 3 other people could walk, I think the thing would be, let's go back to the original wild area in Sword and Shield, and I am in a privileged position where I have an audience watching me on Twitch, and there's a lot of people. So when I find a cool raid, let's say I found Gigantamax Kingler, that was very exciting the first 2 weeks the game came out. There's hundreds of people in the Twitch chat being like, can I please get into Gigantamax Kingler? Right? And I, set up the YCOM, as bad as that was,
Oy.
enter the code, whoever enters it first gets in. And not a lot of people have that experience, right? Because they might not be Twitch streamers or content creators or whatnot. But I think you could have the same effect on a Discord call with people. But I think you could have an even better effect where instead of everyone in their own instance looking at raids, you could see those people look at raids, or in order to join, they would have to run up to your raid, and the 4 of you are standing around that raid which is what the original trailer of Sword and Shield showed. It showed 4 people standing around a raid to do the raid together. I think that stuff is cool. Racing has always existed in Pokemon. There was the bike race in Sword and Shield. There was all the racing not racing, but balloon popping in Legends Arceus. So being able to race against somebody on a Lechonk or a Kyurem from point A to point B would be really cool and novel. I think the curry stuff was great. To me, it was really great that the curry stuff had a dex, and you could trade curry ingredients to complete the dex. I would love to see something like that return. I'm just thinking of more ways to interact with people.
I'm also interested that
My-
you said go into a gym. I saw nothing in this trailer about gyms.
I have a thought that would be interesting is that the gym or trial or whatever it would be different solo, and it would be a different experience multiplayer. The gym would change so that if you're playing together, 4 of you would go up and be like, okay, let's try to take out this trial or gym and try to all get our badges. I think that would be a really fun thing to do. That would make multiplayer more interesting, because they say in the thing you can do stuff not dictated by the story. So I feel like once we've decoupled badges from story progression, which is kind of what they made it sound, then I feel like they could be ripe to making those multiplayer experiences.
I think it's gonna be, that you're gonna have the professor is going to give you research tasks, and as you complete those research tasks, you level up, and no badges, no gyms, no badges.
Your school becomes stronger until you can crush your rivals.
I mean, they show a arena.
Yeah, I mean they show areas that clearly are arenas or trial areas or possibly gyms. I just think it'd be really interesting to have those be multiplayer optional.
One thing to keep in mind too, in looking at those, at like the arena and also the Pokemon Center, they're outdoor places. They're not indoors. So, right, the concept of walk into a gym, do you guys walk into two like different dimensions once you walk through the door? There's no door in either of those places.
Right.
I mean, in this screenshot, you see this tower in a desert area, and it's slightly tilted, and there's 3 floors, and you can see a ladder going up, and then in the middle picture, you see what looks to be the same arena, except the very top of it, where you see stairs, and you see the gym, or not the gym, the battlefield, and you see a bunch of flowers. But that doesn't look like it's from the first one. And then the third shot is the racing flags, which has like a star in the center and then fire. And to me, that would signify gym, but fire gym.
Right.
So it does look like there are gyms or trials of some sort. It looks like the first one is possibly ground, the second one is possibly grass, the third one is fire. They're what's the word? Obtusely obscuring it.
Screenshots.
It was the ones that they tweeted or whatever. I mean, it's just from the trailer. There's just stills from the trailer.
One thing that I will say also could be interesting is one thing that they're doing in Final Fantasy XIV is they are allowing you to do all the dungeons with NPCs, so you don't have to have a party. So they could also do something similar here, that you would have NPCs like you did in raids, like you could go in alone and just get 3 other randoms, or you could do them with people. So I can see that also happening with whatever these gyms or trials or whatever they're going to be, that they are multiplayer events either with NPCs or with your friends.
Yeah, I'm curious of how big this world will be. And I think Legends did a really good job at making it seem like this huge, vast world. And then once you got like Weird Ear or Bravery, you quickly realize that it's not really that big. And obviously those tools are so you accelerate, so you're not spending the entire time walking around. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast. Why didn't they sell 2 versions of Legends? It's kind of because Legends is not a big game.
Yeah.
Like, its Pokedex is really small. There's only 5 trials. What you want to call? What I can't remember what they're called in Legends. Like trials, not totems. Gosh, what is the name? Noble battles. There's only 5 noble battles. There's like 3.5 trainer battles in the entire game until you get to the end. Like it's a relatively small game. So and Sword and Shield is the opposite. Like Sword and Shield has all of these towns. Mm-hmm. It has 3 huge wild areas. But I think it does still feel that big because your only form of transportation in those wild areas is your bike. And between using Weird Ear and Bravery, you just move so much quicker in where you need to go. So I don't know. I don't think to me, I don't think oh, this world is not as big as Sword and Shield because they're trying open world for the first time. Therefore it's bad. Like if it's a bit smaller than Sword and Shield, but still like open world. And I think of Isle of Armor for the first time. And I think Isle of Armor was the first time I was like, this is what the wild area... The Isle of Armor was indeed the time where I was like, I wish the wild area was this to begin with. Because when you go from the dojo around into the swamp, and the swamp leads into the forest, and you see the Pokemon in the trees, and then you come out of the beach, and then you go into the cave. Isle of Armor had such a varying environments that it felt like you were exploring something cool. Whereas I think of the first area in Legends, and I think of the original Wild area, and it was like, the big but samey. Like I don't even think Legends had like anything like in the trees like the Isle of Armor did. Not that like makes or break a game, but it's like it was cool to like look up and be like, oh, there's a Pika-Peck in this. No, not Pika-Peck, but there's like a Pidgey in this tree or whatever. I don't know. I would almost sacrifice like the size of something for something that feels more, no pun intended, but more like handcrafted. And I think to use another game for an example, I would use Final Fantasy 15, which I adore that game, love that game. There's something about 4 dudes in leather pushing a car to the song Stand By Me, which really like hooked me into that game. And that game was open world, right? You could go anywhere you wanted. Like legit, if you sat, like I'm not exaggerating. And if you've never played Final Fantasy 15, let me point out a scenario to you. If you're in the main town and you want to go south to the beach, you could walk there on foot. It would probably take 45 minutes to do so. Or you could take the car, because you have a car in that game, and you could tell the car to go on autopilot, and the car would probably take, no exaggeration, 10 minutes to drive there. There was no fast travel. So I would get up and go to the bathroom or make a sandwich or like browse Twitter, because the car would legit take 10 minutes to drive from point A to point B. And you watch the car and it turned into like a screensaver. But the map was that big. But the problem with Final Fantasy 15 is the open world was such an afterthought. There was no reason to do it. I almost fell off the game completely because I was trying to explore the open world, and I would walk 10 minutes into a desert, find this creature, defeat it, get like this ring, and be like, oh cool, I came all the way out here, found a ring, cool, walk 10 minutes back to town, and then realize they just sold the ring in the store for 500 gems or whatever. And I was like, well, why did I spend 20 minutes to get this ring when I could just buy? Why did you waste my time? Why was this ring not unique? And so I don't subscribe to like, oh, all open world games are automatically good. Like I think Final Fantasy 15 is a fantastic game, but it was fantastic because I stuck to the linear story that it was telling. And anytime I went out to explore, I just felt like it was wasting my time, and it wasn't fun to actually explore that. On the flip side, I think of Breath of the Wild, where you walk 10 minutes to do something, and I feel like you're always rewarded for that. And I think a lot of people share that same thoughts with Breath of the Wild of like, it's why it's a good open world game, because you see something, you walk to it, and something is actually there to do.
That's the problem. You see something, you say something.
Well, this is what I can guarantee. I will give you the Will Anderson guarantee about the open world in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, if you're ready to hear this.
Never ready, but go for it.
It will be smaller than we want it to be, but larger than we expect.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Probably the most accurate thing you've said on the show.
Excuse me, I've said a lot of accurate things.
That's true. You were right about the past and future thing. I wonder if it will be the same. Like, I think of the Pokemon fans that are like, I love Heart Gold Soul Silver because you can kind of pick where you go, and it's like an illusion. It's not real. Mm-hmm. In order to pick where you have to go, they had to like weaken everything and like make all the gym leaders the same level, and it didn't like work. And I recently watched a YouTube video by Donkey, and it was for Link's Awakening.
Is that dude still making videos?
He's still making videos. And what's funny is Link's Awakening came out over a year ago. Greg and I played it when Nintendo invited us out to play at PAX West. Like, this was before COVID, where Greg and I played Link's Awakening, and he just did a video about Link's Awakening, and he loves the game. He talks about how he beat it 3 times, and it's one of his favorite games. But he also talked about a thing that I think a lot of people miss in most video games, where they give you this illusion of this open world. And he talks about how Link's Awakening gives this illusion of like, you're in this big open world, but because you can only get items in a certain way, you're kind of on a linear path the entire time. It just seems like you're walking around this world being able to do what you want, but you're restricted by how the game dictates where you go next. And that was Heart Gold Soul Silver. Like, there's a point in the game where it branches out. And yeah, I guess you could do Gyarados before you do Chuck. But, like, you are still restricted there. Like, yeah, you can do one thing over the other, but it doesn't feel rewarding in a way where it's like you're just over leveled at that point,
right?
Because they can't not make you over leveled because they gave you that choice. So I don't think I'm worried. Obviously they probably thought of a system to be like, well, you have to do this, and then you have to do this, and then you have to do this. I think the other thing that people have always speculated is it doesn't matter what order you do the gyms in, but the gyms scale to where you're at. Mm-hmm. So if you do Brock's gym first, he's level 10 and 12. But if you decide to do Brock's gym fourth, he's level 35 and 37, which I think is an easy solution to that.
Yeah.
But who knows if that's even going to be a thing. Here's the I saved the best for last. We have now confirmed Quaxley's hair is indeed his hair of feathers and not an actual hat.
It is not a
Boo.
hat.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Boo.
And thank you to all the artists out there making incredible Quaxley art. I'm very into all the Quaxley art.
The issue is now that there's a heavy motorcycle feel, Quaxley's going to grow up into be a greaser, and I'm already worried.
I'm so much more into this.
I'm Fuecoco all the way now. And it's like, why do I have to have start with another fire type? But here we go.
Overall, way the game looks so far, I think, is fantastic. Like, if you look at the shot of Nia, or sorry, not Nia. Nia was the Crown Tundra. If you look at the shot of Pneumonia, like, you can see the texture in her shirt. Mm-hmm. The Pokeball looks really great. Her hair looks... Video game hair is always weird, but her hair looks very good. I like how the game looks aesthetically. Like, I love these futuristic motorcycle diner Pokemon centers that are happening. I like all the flowers. I like the Spanish themes that they have without what are those, like the tiles that are like different colors. I'm not sure there's a word for those.
Like a mural?
Like, you know, when you look in the pool where Quaxley is, and it's like orange, purple, white, orange. They're like little squares.
Mosaic.
It's like a
a mosaic.
I like that. That's scattered throughout the region. The little kid with the Toro shirt and the
Toro shirt's so good.
The Pokeball overalls, and you can see the detail.
No. Suspenders.
Suspenders.
You can see the corduroy detail in his shorts.
That kid's a style icon. Let's be real.
I think this might be the first Pokemon game where you can switch between pants and shorts. In Sun and Moon, only shorts. In X and Y, only pants. And I'm pretty sure the
climates are different in those regions.
I'm pretty sure in Sword and Shield, only pants? Oh, no, you could have shorts.
Oh, you could have shorts.
You could have the jersey outfits. Those would give you shorts.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. Because we see 2 trainers with pants, 2 trainers with shorts. I think there is a lot of detail here in the trainers, and they look great. There are the rocks in the background. I actually do think look great. There's a shot of the black girl throwing a Pokeball, and you can see the Pokemon Center in the background, and the rock texture back there looks really, really great. I'm curious if this is running the same engine Legends is. Or a modified version of what Legends is.
I want to say it's probably modified. I don't know. I don't know the programming. I mean, they do have in the trailer the sort of sneaking up motion that was in Legends.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that means you can sneak up and catch like in Legends, or if you sneak up and then you get a bonus when you go into battle.
Yeah,
I think it's 100% you're going to be sneaking up and catching like in Legends, because
I think so too. I think the Legends thing comes back.
I think 80% strong chance, but there's always that 20% they're like, nah, you just go in like always.
I mean, I think they're purposely not showing it.
Right, I think so too. I think they're hinting at it and being coy about it.
The thing that I think bothered me with Legends the most graphically is the game looked so washed out at times and so brown. And
that
I
was
think
an artistic choice.
The color palette was unfortunate.
And that's why I think I'm like, I know, like, I made a TikTok making fun of the bush, and you can look at some of these and be like, oh, the ground's not that great, or the flowers aren't that great, and that's fine, whatever. Like, I played Pokemon games so long on the 3DS, that stuff actually doesn't bother me. I just think it's funny that, you know, we had one long conversation about trees. But I think the thing that, like I said, the thing that bothered me with Legends was the color palette, and somebody at Game Freak or whoever made that game did not understand how lighting worked.
Oh, absolutely.
Pokemon would look incredible in one instance, and then you would turn the camera and the sun would reflect, and you'd be like, this game looks like hot garbage right now.
I don't know how they messed the lighting up in Legends so bad, but that were my two biggest complaints, is the really muddy color palette, and I still don't know what they were doing with the light. I still don't understand it.
And I feel like somebody at Game Freak thought the same as us, because I felt like this trailer showcased lighting in an incredible way.
I think what impressed me about the trailer is just that everything seemed bright and varied. Even when they cut to the various, like, hey, clearly you're going into a cavern, it still felt bright and not muddied. And that got me more excited about generally just sort of how the game will feel. Because, like, there's a cave picture, and I'm like, there are already in this cave pictures multiple colors, multiple levels. It is the same palette, but it's not muddy.
There's a picture of Lechonk, and if you look at it, you're like, oh, the grass is very polygonal, and the tree looks bad, or whatever. Make whatever excuse you want. But then I look at it, and I'm like, he's in the shade under the tree, and you can still see the sun reflecting off the terrain in the background. Like, that's actually, like, really great. And I don't know if you could stand under a tree in Legends and feel like you were in the shade. Because boy, that game did not know how the sun worked. But the same with Smoliv. Like these Pokemon have like shadows and stuff. Look, I know there are like tree shadings and stuff in Legends. I just think that they like figured it out better here.
They have it better in this trailer.
When it looks natural, you don't really think about it. Like, you could look at this picture of Lechonk and be like, oh, yeah, it's a pig in the shade under a tree. Yeah, that's natural. Yep. But when it doesn't look natural, then you go, oh, this looks bad because this is not what my eye is used to. And I think that was, like, a lot of the complaints of Legends, of like graphically, of like, my eye is not okay with what I'm seeing because this is not how shading or lighting works. And so it looks bad.
I'm just looking at that cutie under the tree.
He's really great. And then like the four trainers walking away from each other, and the shadows and the sun, and everything looks bright, but not bright enough where things look washed out.
I think what gave me a lot of hope is the flower scene for Sprigatito, because all the flowers really popped. They looked... I know, it just looked bright and colorful, and I'm like, this is where I want to get back to, not muddy and one note. I want it to be bright and colorful, and they like that shot in the flower garden. I'm like, yes, this makes me happy. And also the other ones are on multicolored tiles. Like, it's just got a nice bright feel to it that I'm happy about.
there's also like detail in the characters' backpacks. You can like see zippers, you can see carabiner or whatever they're called. You can see the buckles. I I'm not going to sit here and defend Game Freak for being the best in graphics. You look at a game like Mario Odyssey, you look at a game like Animal Crossing, and they dotted their I's and crossed their T's when it comes to like that kind of stuff. Game Freak, not so much, but
I mean, there are certain things like the thing that makes me laugh is Final Fantasy 14. All the grass is terrible because it is computer code generated. It's not drawn. And so one of the things they're doing right now is going back and drawing all the grass from scratch because the shortcut was to just have the computer do it, and it always looked bad. Like, it's been a common joke in this huge game that runs very powerful graphics that their grass is awful because they had a computer do it. And I think that some of what we see in these trailers and other things is like, this may just be them saying throw code in so there's ground, and we'll go in and actually draw it in later. Like,
well, I think it
huge
also
budget
speaks
games
to the
do it too.
well, when you don't have to redo 900 Pokemon every game, you can be like, hey, instead of me spending 3 days on fixing Gyarados, I can spend a day fixing the backpacks that you're going to be looking at the entire time. I'm going to spend an extra couple days on these clothes. I'm going to be able to put scales on Seviper and know that it might take me. Look, I don't know how long it takes. If it says, "Hey, I'm going to go back and do Seviper," it's going to take a week. Guess what? Seviper's going to look this good that it does now in all future games, and I don't have to worry about Arbok because we'll worry about Arbok in 3 years when we bring it back. Arbok. A couple other things, like there's a Drifloon sticker and a Hatena sticker and a Flapple sticker in the girl's room. There are a couple other Pokemon symbols scattered out. That doesn't really guarantee those Pokemon are in the game. In Sword and Shield, it opened with like a Fletchling like wind thing on the roof. Fletchling Talonflame line wasn't added until I think Crown Tundra.
Right. I mean, they refer to things often. Like, it would be wild in a Spanish region to not have Tauros. You can kind of look at the Tauros shirt and go, okay, yeah. It's also sort of like people are trying to calm me down. They're like, if you don't think they're going to put roses in Spain, I'm like, look, Poltergeist doesn't learn Scald. I will make no predictions about what they do or don't do. There are certain symbols.
Lillipup wasn't in Sword and Shield.
Right.
Is that not a British dog?
Well, no. Snubble is.
Oh, Snubble is. Yeah, Snubble is.
Snubble and Gramble are, and they do make wild choices.
Lunatone and Solrock are not in Sun and Moon. It is very possible.
If Rosalia isn't in these games, I'm not buying them.
That's not true.
It's understandable.
You want to ride those motorcycles.
I don't care about motorcycles.
You want to hog rider all over again.
Hog rider.
I think we could easily go on for another hour about stuff, but there's next week.
Knowing us, yes.
There's next week. If there's, here's what we'll do. We're not going to do question of the week this week, but we did have really good questions on YouTube. I kind of want to do. I'm kind of expecting no news in the next week because they just did this, and GoFest is happening tomorrow. Hopefully, you had a good GoFest. If you're watching on YouTube, I would like you, and you made it this far. First off, thank you. I would like you to comment what you want us to talk about, whether that's lore, whether that's a certain Pokemon, whether that's graphics, whether that's your theories. Because if there is no huge news, I would love to hear what you guys say, and then us be able to like talk about this. Because I'm sure there's stuff we missed. I'm sure there's like box art stuff or
there's
something
a lot
in the
that we
screenshot.
missed just for time, right? Like we can't hit everything.
So that's your. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment that. Before we wrap up, though, Pokemon of the week.
So last week's Pokemon, there was really only one thing you had to pay attention to, even though I gave a huge number of lots of clues. The key thing you had that would make it super easy for you is the phrase, even though I believe it should be water electric type, which would be next in order to this week's Pokemon. But also, some things that could have helped you out is that it is similar to other Pokemon that are made up of multiple creatures as opposed to a single creature, which if you didn't get that I was referencing Execute in there, well, think harder. What can I say? So, which Pokemon in order comes before a Pokemon that I think should be water electric type?
It's
Squirtle.
no. It's
Wartortle should be water electric type.
There's probably a Delta card with water electric.
Oh, I
Wartortle,
bet.
I'm sure.
Phalanx. Greg is correct. It is Phalanx.
There's no shuffle icon.
Sorry. Is there a shiny?
There is, but it's not loading. But I know what the shiny looks like because isn't it brown? It looks like brown shields. It's a good shiny.
When I was in St. Louis at the gazebo, there was a guy who came up and he was like, "Anyone got He did talk like that. He was like, "Anyone got Phalanx?" And he was just trying to trade people for low attack Phalanx for GBL because the stats reroll when you trade in Pogo. And Phalanx isn't a special trade, so you could trade as many as you wanted. But he was looking for Phalanx, and I was like, when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's a Pokemon. I forgot that Phalanx existed.
Phalanx.
I just forgot it was in Pogo.
Oh,
like I
right.
just like
Didn't it
just,
break-
I was like, oh,
didn't it
we have that in
break-
Pogo.
Was it in Pogo standing straight up like this for a while?
Yes, they had to
Yes.
disable it, like following you for like a couple days because it would like stand straight up. I was like, why remove that? That was a feature.
That's good. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
brown.
that's a good
It
bug.
is brown and yellow instead of yellow and red. The shiny is brown and yellow. It's cute.
What about next week?
All right. Last week, I was of the mistaken understanding that only Galar had Pokedex sequences that were out of order between national and regional Pokedex, but while I was researching this week's Pokemon, I realized that was incorrect. This numerical resequencing occurs in remake games that include the full, up to that point, Pokedex, as some Pokemon, like Galad, get inserted with Gardevoir even though it is almost 200 slots away in the National Pokedex. In terms of number, this week's Pokemon falls somewhere between the SNES, otherwise pronounced SNES, and the GameCube. The other thing to know is that even though it has been over a year since this Pokemon could be featured on a TCG card again, it has not been featured.
I think this is the first time Venonat is in a national Pokedex, or like a
I
normal
mean,
Pokedex.
counting remakes.
Since some time, yes.
Yeah. There was Masuda leaving Game Freak to work at the Pokemon Company. That's your subtle reminder that these are two different companies. We will talk about that next week, though, because I think that's both good and bad. But we'll talk about that next week. And we didn't talk about whether there will be different size variants or alphas or anything like that. The trailer kind of hinted at that. We will talk about that next week. Hopefully you have a good Go Fest. Go Fest would have happened after this. There will be some sort of bonus episode for Patreon feeds or Apple Podcast feeds if you're a paid Apple Podcast to talk about Go Fest. I'm not sure who will be on it or when that will come out. It's going to be a busy weekend, but probably sometime in the next couple days, if not already out. But Greg is at White Wing on Twitter. Will is at Watching the Sink. I'm at Dragging a Lake. You can follow the podcast on Twitch, YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. PKMNcast. We'll be streaming on Twitch. I did announce officially that I will be going to Go Fest in Germany. Full disclosure, Niantic is not paying for that trip. I am paying for that trip myself. But I do plan to stream that experience. So if you want to see what that park looks like and want to see what Go Fest looks like in Germany, I will be streaming in the park, out of the park, exploring Germany, assuming that I can get all the data plans and everything lined up. But yeah, we'll be going out there. I think Niantic is paying for my ticket for Go Fest, so I get to spend $1,000 for them to pay $25 for me. So, hey, what a bargain. Order now and get free shipping. Now. But we will be back next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it to the end. And have a great week. Otherwise, this has been an episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
super effective.
Super Hog Right.